Hermanson family farm, and today we're going to visit our turkey building. And I'm Katie Hermanson for Story County Farm Bureau, and this is my husband Nick, and he'll be giving us the tour today.
Hello. All right, yeah, like Katie said, we're on a farm here today where we grow heavy tom turkeys. You can see behind. We'll go inside in just a minute and look at those. The first thing we'll look at here is the computer control. We're kind of in the entryway of the building. This is where we come in and we can change our boots and disinfect our feet in this dip pan here. Dip my feet in there right now. And so, as you can see, we have our protective coveralls on and hairnets and plastic boots. Biosecurity is extremely important to us on the farm, and so we don't want to introduce any outside diseases that could potentially harm the turkeys. So that's why we have all our coveralls on today. Katie, if you want to scroll over here to the computer. This building has a computer control that controls every aspect of the environment within the building. It turns the fans on. It runs the heat. It runs the feed system. And so if there's any sort of problem, it'll send a message and we can come and fix it immediately, 24 hours a day. So here we can sneak inside. Katie, you want to dip your feet before you come in? So in this building, you can see these birds are right about 9 weeks old. That's a little bit more than 2 months. They're about half grown. They'll go to market right around the middle of June. And so in this building, you can see they're not in cages. They have plenty of room to walk around and roam as they wish. And if you also notice, it's about 68 degrees in here. You can't feel it through the computer, but I'm guessing I'm not the only one that woke up to snow on the ground this morning. And so it's nice to keep the livestock indoors where they're dry and warm and comfortable when we have variable weather outside. Behind me here is a couple feed lines. There's individual pans on there. The feed runs down through there. The turkeys can eat whenever they want. If you pan down, you might see a few of them eating, but they eat when they want, and when they eat the pans down, the feed system will automatically turn on and refill itself. Their diet consists mostly of corn and soybeans with assorted vitamins and minerals to balance their diet and give them appropriate amount of energy and the nutrients that they need to grow healthy and stay strong. There's a heater here. We, like I said, we raise our turkeys inside so that we can control the environment that they're in. We do raise turkeys year-round, so in the wintertime we run the heat a lot. On the other end, there's a bunch of fans, so in the summertime we can turn on all the fans and move air through the building to cool them off. There's some waters spread out throughout the building. They're kind of red and hanging from those strings, and they have a hose going to them, so the turkeys have adequate access to water. It's important that they the key principles in raising good livestock is a good environment as well as good nutrition and access to clean, fresh water. So the waters, like the feed, when they get consumed down, they also refill themselves so that they're always able to get a drink when they want to. The turkeys that we raise on our farm are all for, basically they go to sliced sandwich meat. These are what we call heavy tom turkeys, so at full grown age they'll be about 45 pounds. They're much bigger than what you'd want to dress and put in your oven to cook for Thanksgiving. So these will all go into a further processing where they'll, most of them will be, the meat will be cooked and sliced and sold in grocery stores or restaurants for basically making sandwiches. We raise about 250,000 turkeys a year on our farm. We have a couple different locations within the farm that we keep the turkeys on, and we'll do about 5 flocks every year. So in a couple months, these birds will go to market, and we'll get a new batch of 1-day-old turkeys. They come to us a day old. We don't actually hatch the turkeys on our farm. We buy them 1 day old, and we'll raise them in another building until they get to be about a month old, and then they'll bring them over to this farm and give them more room to spread out. All the turkeys on the farm are toms, so they're all males. The hens are what normally are raised for the whole bird market, the meat market, the processing market is generally tom birds. So that's about it. Like I say, we just keep them in a nice climate-controlled building year-round and keep them happy, and they seem to grow really well for us. Yeah, you can zoom in and look at the turkeys a little bit closer. They like to puff up their feathers.
And a little bit about parts of the turkey. So the turkey doesn't have feathers on their heads, and we raise white turkeys, like Nick said, because just consumer preference. They like we don't have bronze turkeys here. And you can see their little holes right by their eye. That's their ear hole. So they don't quite have the same ear as we do. You can see that they have their beaks, and these guys don't quite have all the wattles and the different parts that the full-grown adult tom turkeys have. So these guys are kind of like teenagers. They look a little funny, but they're growing and they're happy. So they're pretty active today, so that's good to see. But sometimes it just depends on the weather or time of day, whether they're up and walking or eating or very curious. So you can see they're all looking at us. Okay, Nick, what do you like most about farming, and how did you learn to raise turkeys?
I guess probably the thing I like most about farming is every day is a little bit different. Normally at this time of year we're trying to be out planting corn. That didn't happen today with the snow. But so on our farm we also raise corn and soybeans as well as the turkeys. It's kind of a nice diversity mix between the crops and the livestock. They complement each other very well. We can use the manure from the turkeys to fertilize our crop fields, and then we use the crops to we send it to a feed mill, and they send it back. They'll grind it up and process it and send it back as feed for the turkeys. So it's kind of a revolving nutrient cycle between the two different enterprises. So I grew up on the farm. I've been here my whole life, and as well as my dad and my grandfather. I'm a fifth-generation farmer. But yes, I attended Iowa State University and studied agriculture there.
Someone wants to know how many birds are in here, and do you include medicine in your food?
There's about 8,000 birds in here at the moment. The medication, that's changed over the last several years. Anyway, the medication has changed over the last several years. There's legislation that it removed some of the medications that we had the ability to use, and currently these are antibiotic-free turkeys, so they will get some extra feed supplements and stuff, but not any true antibiotics unless they get absolutely sick for some reason. Then we have the ability, we can treat them, and they will just be marketed as a non-antibiotic flock. But we're working really hard to try and keep the buildings clean and keep the birds healthy, which is why we're wearing our biosecurity stuff in here that we are today, and trying to market them as antibiotic-free turkeys, which we've been successful so far. Yes, why the turkeys are white. So that actually comes from the whole bird market. Originally, a lot of wild turkeys back when they first domesticated them were what they call a bronze. They'd have brown feathers. But a bronze turkey, when you remove the feathers and cook it, it'll have a bunch of little black dots where the feathers were. So a white turkey, over the years they bred them to be white, so that when you remove the feathers, the skin that you see after you bake them is kind of a uniform, just tan color, and not have all the little spots where the feathers showed up. So that's the reason why domestic turkeys today are all pretty much bred as white. There's some that still raise bronze for certain specialty markets, but most of the commercial production in the U.S. is all white turkeys. They are all named Tom. Every single one in here is named Tom. Yes, because they're a male turkey is known as a Tom, a female is a hen. So these guys are all Tom. So I'd like to thank you guys for joining us today. I think that's about all there is to really explain and show. So if you have any more questions, feel free to contact the Iowa Egg Literacy Foundation, and they will pass them on to us, and we can get you the information. Thank you.